Yes, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here on time. I don't know where you lot are. Don't know what's happened here, mate. I said 9 p.m., didn't I? But listen, it wouldn't be carnage if it wouldn't be carnage, if you get what I mean. Um, Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are on this beautiful planet of ours, whether it's morning, night, or midnight like it is in Dubai. Um, Most welcome. It's been a while. It's been a while. Welcome to Carnage, essentially the pre-match hype show for the Watford game. But obviously, you know what I mean, we ain't spoken in a little while, so we're going to talk a few things. Yeah, April Fool's a day early, mate. Yeah, it is what it is, man. I'm sorry, none of your business, man. I'm absolutely mashed up today. Um, but, shit happens on holiday, right, Keith? You know what I mean? What a segue into Keith, the biggest party I fucking know. You know what I mean? Shit happens, right?
Shit happens, man. Sometimes you're chilling and the next minute you just end up in another country. Taking bets for how many times Grizz says Dubai. Most bold men with beards say Dubai about 10 times and every 30 minutes. So you
Nah,
only got one.
no. I'm gonna try. All right. You know
I'm
what?
just hating, innit? I'm just hating. I want to be in
Yeah.
Dubai.
No, you're right. But it's actually a challenge. I'm actually going to see if I can not say it. I'm not going to actually say it. But I haven't. You've been missing, man. People have been asking, man. Where's Big K, man? Like, what? Don't. I'm hating on your life as well. Like, where you been? You been? What's going on? Why you been so busy?
It's just a sabbatical to the Valencian mountains to find my inner chi, them vibes there. Yeah, just my mum literally lives out in the arse end of nowhere. The house is off the grid as well. And I went there when Spain has been raining for over a week. I think it's been like 3 weeks of constant rain, no sunshine. And literally the entire power had to cut out. We were on generators because no sun on the solar panels means no electricity.
Wow.
So I had some experiences out there, let's put it that way. But yeah, I'm back. Not as much of a tan as I would have liked to, but even I needed an international break just to build me up for what's going to be a madness.
100%, man. 100%. And of course, I got my man Errol. What's going on, my bro? What's the latest? What's Liverpool saying as a town? Is it bubbling up? Can you feel the tension?
Do you know what? I've had a weird week, mate. I've been absolutely wiped out all week. The last couple of days, I've been really, really sick, which is not like me. I'm one of them. I'm either if I'm not gonna like get sick like every couple of weeks with like a cold or a flu or whatever it is, but when I get that once a year thing, it absolutely knocks me on my ass. So for like the last 3 days, I've been pretty ill with it. Today I woke up, felt better. There was blood just flowing right throughout the body. Do you get me? So I was happy. Kicked off, went to work.
I think that was probably because the international break's over. That's how we all felt.
And that was it. I even tweeted the Rebel before. I was like, "Can I come back?" I was like, "Fucking hell, I've been missing the action, man. Like, there's been nothing going on." But yeah, everything else has been good. Apart from me feeling like shit, the weather has been all right in Liverpool for the last couple of days as well. So it's been nice. It's been nice to see. I feel like the weather just changed everybody's mood. I think that's a UK-wide thing, but the weather just kind of changes everybody's mood and everyone kind of goes out with a new look. Spring's here. The clocks have went forward. Everybody's got a nice little vibe to them. So all good, man. It's all good.
It's true, man. Come out here and the weather's absolutely perfect. It's not even too hot. I'm not going to tell you which country I've come out to. But then I heard like back in UK, like you've been having amazing weather for the first few days, and then yesterday I was getting messages and photos of snow and shit. Like it's mad, it's mental, isn't it? It's mad. But of course we've got a special guest today, and Charlie, Watford fan, man, to give us all things perspective. How you doing, my friend? First of all, thank you very much for coming on, my friend.
No worries. No, nice to speak to you guys. You lot seem buzzing the international breaks over. For Watford fans, we enjoy like a couple of weeks of no Premier League football. Down every week. And then we look at the fixture list. Oh, Liverpool away. Great. So yeah, no, I'm looking forward to chatting.
Yeah, look, I don't know. We're going to start off with you because that's the best way to start off. Go straight into the guest and ask him his opinion on his club. And we were just discussing off air, like, kind of the things that we're probably going to talk about. And obviously, naturally, we have to talk about your manager because it's a certain manager. We have to call a spade, right? He did manage us, right, people? like badly, but he did manage us. Roy Hodgson is your latest of managers of the month. It seems for you guys, like you take that literally that title to a different level, manager of the month. Roy Hodgson, Charlie, not been there long, obviously. Do you expect them to be there much longer? How are you finding Roy Hodgson, the old boy?
I'm not exhilarated. I'm not too excited. It's a pretty hard watch. It's painful. He came in and he got I think he got a clean sheet on his first game when we didn't have a clean sheet all season. And you thought, could this be a start of something? But it's been a hard watch, to be honest. The results haven't been great. We had a game against Crystal Palace where you think team at home, we should try and get some points there. We flopped. We lost 4-1. It was terrible. And then out of nowhere, we beat Villa away. Really nice game plan. Sharp shot. Caught him on the break with Sarr, Dennis. So that was a surprise result. And then as we go on, more bad football, really. I went to Wolves. We got bashed 4-0 away. That was terrible. And then we had Southampton before the international break. And again, another surprise. We're quite attacking on the counter-attack, and we got a result there. I don't think we're going to stay up, if I'm honest. Before that question comes, I just think we've done too much to do. Once you lose to Norwich 3-0 at home, you're in trouble. And that was the real kicker for me. And I just think, like, you hear pundits like Gary Neville who say, oh, look, he's done it before, but it's too much of a big job now. There's too much of a gap. I think Everton will win their home games. They'll do enough at home, even though they've been terrible. But that was a real blow for us when Everton and Leeds won in the last minute to get points but daylight. So I'm not that optimistic, I'm afraid.
Do you know what, Charlie? Kev says here, to be honest, Roy could get them to safety. His experience in these situations might help them when Lampard is at Everton with no experience and about to stay up. So obviously, you hired Claudio Ranieri. Forgive me for not remembering the timeline, because obviously we know Watford, like as we said, different managers. So it's at the start of the season, right? You had Claudio Ranieri.
So we came in. Cisco Munoz came in halfway through last season.
Yeah.
Okay.
We were bad in the Championship, but he got us up. And then after 6 games, even though we won two games, he wasn't deemed good enough. We did play terribly against Leeds before he got sacked. Ranieri came in. I think he charmed us all, really. He pulled the wool under our eyes, like lovely Italian man. But according to reports, he didn't want to be there. He was the last one to turn up, the first one to leave. And I think he was happy to get his little pay packet to leave. His last game was that Norwich game that I mentioned, 3-0 loss at home to Norwich. And then Roy's come in with Ray Lewington.
But this is what I wanted to say. This is what I wanted to ask you. So, Ranieri, was he the right appointment at the time? You know, you wasn't excited with the Roy Hodgson appointment. Was you slightly more excited with the Ranieri appointment? And the second part of the question is, then once he got sacked, did you think Roy Hodgson, I think you've semi-answered it already, was the right appointment? Like in terms of the experience with the position that you guys were in, like Kevin's comment earlier.
Can I add something on to the end of that second question?
Yes, we can. Yeah.
And if Roy Hodgson wasn't the right, or you wasn't happy with him being the appointment, who would you have rather had, Hodgson or Lampard?
That's what I was going to ask anyway, but it was better than me.
Okay, I'll come to that last bit. In terms of Ranieri, when he came in, as a Watford fan, I'll keep my cards close to my chest when it comes to manager. There's no point praising him. There's no point celebrating because things.
You've had so many. You've just had so many. Has there only been a manager you've actually fell in love with over the last 3 to 5 years?
Do you remember Javi Gracia? He got us. We could have got Europa League, but instead we got FA Cup final, which was great. But then City pumped us. I'd prefer if we got to Europa League. He was the one. But Ranieri, he was charming. He was more attacking, but defensively, like there was just holes everywhere. We were conceding 2.5 4 goals a game, and you just can't get any results if you're conceding that. When it came to Roy to be our manager, I would have said no chance. But again, when he came in, cards close to my chest, I was like, I'll have to see what evidence I see, and what I've seen, I don't think he's shut the back door necessarily that well. And if I come to that question about Frank Lampard, it's a tough one because I think he hasn't got much managerial experience, has he? What he done at Chelsea and Derby was a bit underwhelming. I think he done better at Derby. I think on paper, because he's a younger, more recent player, you would say Frank Lampard. But I don't think any of them are much better than the other, if I'm totally honest with you.
Yeah, Keith, it's a strange one, isn't it? Looking from afar as we are when it comes to Watford, because Errol's right. The question always it's not if he's the right man or what. When you're in a situation like that, obviously we haven't, and God forbid we don't ever come in a situation like that. Is how do you go about finding a manager that's gonna basically, essentially, his role is gonna be just keep us up by all means, or do you go for a coach and say, look, be brave and try to build a way of playing, a method of playing that we can sort of develop and become better in the long term? Because there's 2 ways of going about it, right? There's the way of, do what you got to do and stay afloat. Play the shittest, boringest football. We don't give a shit. The money's too much to go down. Or you can have the long-term approach and say, we want a progressive coach. Just look, like Eddie Howe at Bournemouth was given a different, role as opposed to Sean Dyche at Burnley, for example. But look who's smiling now. I the way I'm trying to put it.
Yeah. Do you know what, right? For me, I'm really intrigued, Charlie, to understand more about the hierarchy within Watford, because it fascinates me that I will sit there and I'll watch BT Sport on a Saturday and I will see a player and I'll be like, playing for Udinese, Serie A. Oh yeah, he used to play for Watford. Oh yeah, he used to play for Watford. Oh yeah. And it's just this, and it almost makes me think like you and Udinese are owned by the same owners, and as long as they provide you with players that are good enough to keep you out of the Championship, is there a willingness, I suppose, from the owners to create an environment for a manager to come in and be a coach, or be like what Grizz was saying there, like be able to build a philosophy to keep you up? Or does it work, I suppose? And I have a question, Charlie. Does it work like the way it's currently structured?
Yeah, if you spoke to me or any Watford fan in 2018, 2019, we'd been in the Premier League for 4, going on to our 5th season in the Premier League, pretty comfortable, not in any relegation battles. Could have got Europa League, made it to an FA Cup final. And we didn't have one manager in between that time. We had Quique Sanchez Flores, Walter Mazzari, KHANAGE got us up. So although the mainstream media hate it, at the time it was working. But now it's caught up on us massively. And when you're looking at the ownership model and you're spotting like Delafeu at Udinese and stuff like that, that's only because we've gone down and they stayed up, that they're getting the good players. So it used to be the other way around, where we used to get all of their best players.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, it was mad. We used to get linked to like Rodrigo de Paul when he was at Udinese.
Yeah, you was. For quite a long period, you guys were linked with Rodrigo de Paul, and like sort of the normal football fan was like, how the hell are they linked with one of the best, up and coming central midfielders? Obviously, he's ended up at Atletico Madrid, but it's because of these connections, right, that your owners have and whatnot, and some fantastic players that you've reeled off there, like Delafeu is where now? He's in Italy as well.
So he's at
Udinese, of course. Sorry,
Udinese, yeah, he's there at the moment. So. Yeah, it just, there's not, with what, just to end off from your point, Grizz, it was not much in terms of Watford building something new. It's more of kind of what the owners are seeing as a model that makes sense, because they're kind of winning in both ways. If Watford have a bad season, get relegated, you've got Ismail Sarr there, you've got Dennis there as well. Dennis, I could see popping up in, they have that way of maneuvering around. So yeah, it's interesting to know like what the true intentions of the owners are to take Watford forward. Really, I mean, if you luck out on a good manager at the right time, fair, and have some good moments, fair enough. But if the model shows to work most of the time, it's hard for owners to get out of that cycle.
Do you know what is, Charlie? The way I look at your model, right? And please be offended if it's offensive what I say.
We've had
because it's carnage. But you guys, right? You've got this model of the Chelsea ownership, haven't you? Like in terms of just keep fucking changing the manager until it works type thing. But the difference being it's not working for you or hasn't worked. Are you okay? Are you guys used to it now as Watford fans? Do you envisage change of philosophy as they're going forward now? Because obviously Roy Hodgson's a very short-term appointment, right? We're assuming it's a short-term appointment. Are you guys sort of used to it now? This is how the owners are going to operate until further notice, kind of thing, or would you guys like some stability, bring in a younger manager? Just I can't think at the top of my head, but Eddie Howe keeps coming at the top of my head because he's prominent, right, with Newcastle and Bournemouth and everything, and being young. Bring in a young coach and just fucking give him time and let us develop as a club.
Absolutely. Just on your first point about Chelsea, it is a similar model. The difference is they're backed by a multi-billionaire Roman Abramovich, and the Pozzos haven't got that much money at all, but they have got a really good recruitment network. And in terms of kind of Watford fans, are we happy with it? I would say if you put it out on Twitter, if you ask people, it's very much kind of half and half. Some of the older fans who are used to us in League Two, League One, I'd be like, you lot don't know how lucky you've had it. You've been in Premier League. Like this is good. We should, the size of Hertfordshire and the size of club we are, we should be in like the top 30, 40 in the country. So we have been punching above our weight. The more modern Watford fans, some Watford fans have only experienced Premier League and now we're at crisis point. My personal opinion is I would like what you said, a more progressive. When we got rid of Roy Hodgson, I really wanted to bring in a guy called Diego Martinez. He used to work for Granada. He got them promoted and he took them to the Europa League, a really exciting young Spanish coach. And then when the stuff happened at Leeds and they appointed Jesse Marsh, I thought that was a really, really shrewd appointment. They've got a vision how they want to play, like counter-pressing, quick attacking football, and he fits that vision. He's young, he's exciting, he's a really good coach. So I think one thing that Leeds have that we don't, they've got a vision, and that stayed what they want to play, whereas we've had defensive coach, expansive coach, and we've recruited for all these different styles, and that's why we're shit, basically, because how can you mould anything or have a playing style?
Yeah.
I wanted us to appoint someone more progressive and go, even if we get relegated, let's stick with you for another season. But like you said earlier in the show, the money of the Premier League is so big that all or nothing. And I think the biggest surprise to me this season that we're still intact, because there's been so many poor teams. We've been terrible, but you're Everton.
You're still not down. Yeah, you're still not down. It's mad season. Diogo Jose Teixeira da Silva, in case people didn't know Diogo's real full name, sends in a super chat. Says, "My legend, Errol. He's my legend too." And Errol, talking about legends, I've got a soft spot for Watford. And the reason why I've got a soft spot for Watford is they are, in a direct way, the reason why I'm a Liverpool fan. Okay. And because they had my hero, the reason why I supported Liverpool, John Barnes. And when they sold us John Barnes, or when we bought John Barnes off them, as the case was, it turned me into a Liverpool fan. Have you got any soft spot for Watford after hearing Charlie sort of speak about them? Have you got any sympathy? And if you have, that goes absolutely out the window on Saturday, doesn't it? And then we wish them luck after that, right?
Full disclosure, I ended up getting into a sweep earlier at the beginning of the season, and it was one of those kind of weird points ones where, like, depending on where you finish in the league, you get so many points, and I ended up getting Watford as my team at the sweep at the very start of the season, but I got gifted 40 points off the bat. So I thought straight away, like, I know they ain't going to get 60, 70 points, but they could easily squeeze another 45 points. And I'm already in the running them for being finishing top 3, 4, maybe in this little tally. I was like, you know what? I'll take Watford. Watford will be the team. And I think I remember the first couple games. I think you mentioned it before, Charlie. He's got 2 wins on, and I thought straight away, they're already getting points on the board. These men are going to be fine. So for a while, I genuinely thought Watford were going to stack enough points from a selfish perspective for me to get some money at the end of the season. That after by Christmas, I had ruled that out. I was looking at the league table, I thought these guys are fucked. And that was the last time my allegiance went for Watford, and it went out the window after Christmas. Prior to that, though, before there was any money at stake, I've never really had any ill feelings towards Watford as a team, to be honest with you. I've never overly loved them, but I've always remembered them giving us good games. I've always thought that they could actually hurt us. They've had some players in the past that have always turned up against us, that have caused us a threat. I remember the season that we, ultimately walked the league and everyone was like, they're going to go on an unbeaten run, no one's going to beat them. And then it was Watford that turns up and actually does the number on us. And they was a lot better than us on that day as well, to be fair. And I think that was just before lockdown happened, and we kind of threw away a couple of other games towards the end of the season. But we was like, you know what? We're not asked. We know we're going to win. That was the objective. All the other things would have just been the icing on the cake. So I think I've always been wary of them because they've always had the ability to sucker punch us. I've never really felt that he was a threat over a 38 games campaign, so to speak. But come Saturday, it goes out the window. It's just got to be business as usual. We've got to get straight back on the horse. The first team out of the tunnel, whatever it is. We need to be the first one out the traps come Saturday afternoon. Put that marker down, to then City are looking over their shoulder thinking it's on us to play catch up now. And that's just kind of where my mentality's realigned over the last 24 hours.
Yeah, look, it's mad. As Charlie says, they've had so many horrendous results, but yet, Charlie, you've had some stunning results as well. So, for example, the win against Man United, obviously we love that shit. That was
fine.
Oh yeah, it's United. Do you know what I mean? Oh yeah, exactly.
That put the nail in the coffin on Ole as well.
Wasn't it? Was that the final nail?
That was the final nail. That was.
So yeah, so Man United, you've beaten, as you said, Southampton. That was a fantastic result. There was another big result as well. You've had it's gone. My head's gone now. But you've had a few results where you think, how do they pull that off? And I think one of the reasons, the way I look at it, is some of your attacking players get into a lot of top 10 teams. I'd go as far as saying top 10 lads. I don't know what Errol and Keith think, but I think Ismail Assar, for example, is a player that we very much was interested in. And I know for a fact that we actually made a bid before Diogo Jota for Ismail Assar. Yeah. But we couldn't agree the payment structure with you guys, whereas Wolves said, yeah, give us £5 a month. It's not a problem. So obviously we went for Diogo, and obviously the rest is history. But talk to us. We know obviously Ismail Assar has been quite it's prominent now. We've seen quite a bit of him in the Premier League. Talk to us about this Dennis character and how he's been. Do you think he's gonna sort of stay there with you guys next season?
No chance, unfortunately. Just on Sarr, I think one massive thing that's kind of gone under the radar, really, Sarr's injury record for us this season has really killed us. It's the equivalent of Salah getting injured for you guys. He's missed so many games, and that's just really blunt our attack, which has been a shame. Emmanuel Dennis, I love this guy. One thing that I'd say about our owners is their recruitment, and they brought this guy in for $3 million. They took a chance. We're going to get a massive profit on him, so I mean that's a good deal. But he's just such a character. I've done a thread on my Twitter of just all his entertaining moments, and he cracks me up. But he's got quality. He's a bit raw. He's electric. He's so quick. His jump is like Cristiano Ronaldo-esque. You'll see him. He's got a massive leap on him, and he's a really good finisher. I think he's tailed off form a bit since Christmas. He was on really good form before, but he's got to play. And if he's running at you, he's one of those where you don't know if he's coming or going. He's a real threat, and even if he's just with us for this season, he's given us some good memories. And like I said, we're going to get a nice bit of profit on him, that's for sure.
They are. You absolutely you are. Just a couple of super chats that I want to get through. None of your businesses. What's your opinions on the Simi chant? I like it. Keith, have you heard it? Do you like it? Errol, have you heard it? Do you like it?
I've heard it. I can't think of it off the top of my head right now, but I have heard this. I seen the video clip. It's like at the party, the house party, and he was singing it. Yeah, I like
That's
it.
right.
None of your business. I'll take your word on it. I'm gonna go listen to it after this. It's homework, but I haven't listened to it yet. But sure
someone kindly done a chant for me, which I really, really like. Techers Dave. I like this one, to be honest with you. But yeah, we won't go into it. I actually quite like that. Listen, people that are in the building already, I know I've messed you about with the times, and some of you have pissed off and gone off, but whoever's made it back, I'm so sorry for earlier. Totally mashed up the timing of the stream. Apologies. Please still like the stream. I know I'm not your best friend today. And I've seen, I don't know, guys, Keith, I don't know if you've seen Blue Chip in the chat. He's like making awful noise and he wants me to, like, so basically, I don't know if you guys saw the epic draft we done, Keith. We actually managed to do it. And obviously, Blue Chip won the draft, right? And he says, and obviously Dean saying, have you got a prize for him? And he's like, no prizes, but a shout would be nice. It's the only respectful thing to do after the abuse I got from my team, won by a landslide. I just want to congratulate Avi on winning the draft. It was the most boring team he picked and finally ended up with. But we went to a vote and he won it. There's your flowers, Avi. Now can you shut the fuck up and let us carry on with the show? But we're speaking about Dennis, Charlie. Sorry, Keith. Charlie's telling about Dennis. Obviously, you're a FPL player. Is he one of those that caught your eye this season? And have you been thinking, he's one of those 6 million probably strikers, isn't he, or something around that? Or he's even as a striker or midfielder, maybe, because he plays on the wing sometimes. But either way, is he the danger man, isn't he?
He's the danger. Yeah, I mean, it was one of those ones where, for fantasy football purposes, he had this really nice hot streak, right, Charlie? Yeah, I think he scored 5 games in a row where he was just like constantly involved, and Watford had that run that's probably keeping you in this position you're in right now to a certain extent, right? So you're still within touching distance. It was the heartbreak for me was Ismail Sarr, because I'm a big fan, really, really big fan of his. I think he's a great player, just so dangerous. And he is playing tomorrow, isn't he? He will be playing tomorrow.
We're going to get onto that. We're going to get onto that.
Cool. So yeah, I had him in the draft at the start of the season. I was like, this is a great pick. And he went on a nice little run, and then he obviously picked up that injury, and away you go. So yeah, I've had some love with Watford. Fun fact, Craig Cathcart was one of my favourite. He had the run with Watford at centre-back where he was scoring goals, and he was an old FPL legend. So yeah, man. But
that's a name. That's a blast from the past. He's still playing, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he plays for West Ham. Pretty sure he plays.
What about Craig Dawson?
Oh, that's Craig Dawson. Yes. No, Craig Cathcart and Craig Dawson, separate people. Yeah. No, where is Cathcart these days?
I think he's still playing. You know,
he is still one of our centre backs, which is another reason why we are.
There you go. I was thinking he's still there. You know, I was thinking, but our very own Blue Chip in the building still here. He says, question for Charlie: would he take Robert Page as manager, doing good things with Wales?
I wouldn't. If you look at his managerial record before Wales, I think he had bad spells at the Northamptons, and there's another team I can't remember off the top of my head. But I think some fans are kind of suggesting his name, ex-player, doing well with Wales. But I think you need to take your Elton John yellow tinted rose, be logical, and yeah, his record before Wales isn't that good. And I just think sometimes managers and players, they just fit with certain clubs and it just works. And I think the Wales thing, they had a really good buzz, obviously, with Ryan Giggs, but I think they've carried it on. They've had players like Bale, but I think it would be a massive risk. I'd rather get someone with good credentials, plays good football, and can excite us fans again.
Errol.
Good question, though.
Yeah, that is. I mean, Avi's brilliant like that. That's why I don't get him on the show. Takes the limelight from me. Errol, Watford. Watford shouldn't pose us any problems because of everything that's at stake. But the Premier League is mad, isn't it? Premier League's mad. You take into the consideration the international break stopped our flow, or has it? Did it stop our flow, do you think? Or did we need that little circuit breaker? 12:30 kickoff Saturday afternoon, atmosphere in the ground, taking everything into consideration. How are you feeling going into this game? Because as we've said, they have got a couple of handy players. We're gonna get to Charlie's opinions on how the team's going to set up and everything, but they have got a couple of players that we just need to be wary of and make sure we're on it. Because if we're on it, then it's all over, isn't it?
Well, I think the only team that can really cause Liverpool problems between now and the end of the season is going to be Liverpool, and what Liverpool team decides to turn up on any given day. And the apprehension for me is that early kickoff and everyone trying to come back and be all on the same hymn sheet, because we know it sometimes takes us a little bit of time to kind of build into that rhythm. And it might be a good game for us in terms of getting it at the start of the weekend, which allows us to then have a few extra days for training before the Champions League. And then that's when the rhythm is truly established, when realistically, I think that game holds more weight for us in terms of this run that we're building up. But we need to start gaining that momentum again. I think in terms of the question about was it a good time or did it break down our flow, I thought we needed the international break. Klopp has got used to this Liverpool team having prescriptive breaks, and he uses the time when we've got those breaks to kind of not only recharge for himself in certain situations personally and just trying to take the foot off the gas a little bit, but he gives the other lads the opportunity. The lads that go away, they're still on it. And I think he likes as many of the lads being on international duty as possible, because even though we get a break from the rigmarole of the Liverpool intense Prem game, Champions League, he wants them to still have minutes in the legs. He wants them to still be playing. He wants them to still be thinking like footballers and not kind of, they're off on a 2-week break. They're just going to go and, get on the piss in Dubai, say, like some professionals would. So he'd rather have them still playing football on some level, and then the lads that stay in Liverpool and stay at the AXA Training Centre, he gets to work with them. It's like a little bit of, like a tutor, where you kind of get that more one-to-one coaching from him. You can kind of put more of an arm around you. I haven't been able to give you the time and the attention that you might have wanted the last couple of weeks, but I'm here for you now. Is there anything you need? Do you need me to take the kids to school, or do you need me to cook his dinner? Like he seems like he's got that kind of vibe to him. When he's that guy when the off season, or not off season, but the breaks present themselves to us. So I think he would have appreciated this one. And I think more so than ever before, I think this has been the most important one because the timing of it. It's a later international break than what we're used to, but it's one where right now he's needed to say, right, we've got ourselves to this point. It's fixated now. It's fixed. That's finite. Everything that happened before has been done. We can't go back and do anything different, but look at this opportunity that's presented us because of all of that work. If that is not testament that what we've been doing has been working and is right, then I don't know what your motivation is to come back and work for me on Saturday. And that's where the players will then look at it and think, you know what, he's fucking spot on there. We've got 8 or 9 games in a month that is going to be make or break. We can now bleed and give everything to the cause, and I think that's what's really going to hopefully drive us on for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about sort of the next 4 weeks or so later on in the show, and we're going to focus on where we're going and how we're going to go about it. But coming back to the Saturday game, Charlie, give us a lowdown on the situation with any injuries. We don't wish injuries on any team except when they're playing us. Hopefully you've got a couple of important absentees, or have you? So, because obviously, first and foremost, I wanted to ask you, we know Ismail Assar was with the Senegal team because obviously he was playing against Egypt. Was Dennis repping Nigeria? Okay, so what's the situation with that, for example?
So there was another controversial story ahead of AFCON when got reported that we didn't let Dennis go.
Yes, explain that. Yeah.
But it was different reports say different things. Some people say we didn't let him go. Maybe the club say the paperwork didn't happen. To be honest, he didn't play that well afterwards, so it could have affected it, but it's gone now. It's done. Ismaila Sarr played for Senegal off the back of an injury he picked up at Old Trafford. So he loves playing for his country. He's played more for Senegal this year than he has for us. He scored a penalty, one of the winning penalties for Senegal. Roy Hodgson said today that he's expected to start. So I think we'll have a front three of Sarr. Josh King scored a hat-trick for Norway.
Did he play one game or 2 games in the international break?
I'm not too sure, but I know he got a hat-trick. I know he got a hat-trick. And I think Dennis will come in the left. To be honest, before those guys were out, we had people like Cucho Hernandez, who's been on great form. We've got a kid called João Pedro, who I'm telling you, he's one of the most talented footballers I've seen.
You don't need to tell us, Charlie. Well, you might need to tell others, but I know that because again, he was one we scouted very, very heavily. But his agent thought the jump would be too much for Liverpool straight away, so he went to Watford. So there's another little nugget for the subscribers and listeners and viewers. We wanted João Pedro very, very. We rated him very highly, but look at those names that you've just reeled off there. There is potential for attack. There is potential to play attacking football. There is goals there. There's pace there. There's liveliness. There's trickery there. And those 5 that you've mentioned, like they're like the bottom half of the 5 that we've got. Do you know what I mean? We're going to go on to the 5 we've got, but you know what I mean? Like that's more firepower than a lot of teams have got down at the bottom. It's just that manager just won't play a system or a form of football that gets the best out of those, right? Probably that's what you're frustrated with.
Yeah, I think, but the main problem is, and although I've championed our recruitment in some areas, defensively, our recruitment has been really, really poor. We've mentioned Craig Cathcart, that you guys are surprised he's still playing for us. We brought in a guy from Udinese, called Samir in January. He's done pretty well. Kamara at left back, he came in January. He played against England for Ivory Coast. He was kicking Jack Grealish up and down the park. He's a really good player. Maybe if we done the business right in the summer defensively and not just go full out attackers, we wouldn't have one of the worst defensive records. So although I'm excited about the attack, and I think if we have the kind of game plan like we did at Villa, sit, back, hold, and then hit people on the break, then I'd be confident. But I was there at Vicarage Road, Claudio Ranieri's first game against Liverpool. I watched Mo Salah absolutely destroy Craig Cathcart a couple of times. It's one of those goals where you see and you're just like, wow. Some people are clapping. I didn't clap, but it was like,
I was just going to say that because I was there as well. And when he scored, apparently I got caught on TV, on a LFC TV. They do like behind the scenes camera inside Anfield, guys, Errol and Keith, right? And apparently I've been caught not going mad. So we're like, why was Grizz not fucking going mad, right? When Salah scored one of the greatest goals I've seen live. The reason for that, Charlie, was I was actually looking at the Watford fans all around the ground's reaction to it because it was a stunning goal. And all right, you couldn't bring yourself to applaud it or whatever. And of course, I respect that and I get that. But so many were, Charlie, because it was they actually applauded, lads. Like everyone was like just standing up and just applauding like what they had seen. But going back, Charlie, you've given us what you think your front 3 are. So you're working your way backwards. How are you setting up in midfield? So obviously you think you're going to go with 3 up top. So you've said Dennis, Josh King, and Sarr. So Dennis probably off the left, Sarr on the right, Josh King through the middle. How you guys think you're going to set up in midfield?
I think we'll go 3 in midfield. We've got a player called Imran Louza, Moroccan international, very, very good player. We picked him up from Nantes in the summer on the most money, about 8 million really, but it's taken him a long time to settle. He's a 6 in the pivot, really tidy player, controls the game.
Okay.
So I'm sure he'll come into it.
Not Cleverly?
I wouldn't be surprised if Cleverly start.
Really? Okay.
And that's another problem. We've had players like Tom Cleverly trying to play in the Premier League nowadays, and they're just not good enough and haven't got the quality. I don't know if you guys saw the Arsenal game, but he got caught on the ball, napping for 2 minutes. Bang, Saka's put it in within seconds. Yeah. The amount of mistakes we've made this year, I could literally name about 10 stupid mistakes that cost us massive points. But midfield, I think it will be Musa Sissoko, who has been all right for us. he can't shoot. There's no chance he's going to be scoring. But and then that other place, Cleverley's played a lot. Roy Hodgson gave him his England debut. But I love Tom for what he's done for us, but back in 2012, man, like he can't be doing it anymore. So I think that could be our three. We've got a guy called Kayembe for about 500k. He's really tired as well. I'd prefer for him to come in. That's the midfield three, which compared to Fabinho, Henderson, and Thiago, bit of a different level.
Well, you may not face them, but we'll go on to our thing. So you think so? Have you been playing with back four then? So Roy Hodgson's obviously famous for playing. I mean, even the 4-3-3. Has he been playing that, Charlie? Has he been playing a 4-3? Because we know him about 4-4-2, right, lads? Or 4-5-1. I don't think he played. I don't think he's got a record of playing five at the back. I think he likes to probably flood the midfield more. So has he been playing a 4-3-3?
He has, but our squad's just built for a 4-3-3. But when he came in, he was playing 4-4-2. And we were playing 4 centre midfielders. So no wingers, no width. It was like 2 banks of 4, and we ain't scoring. So it took him a couple of games to realise, look, we need to play free so we can get the best out of our attacking players. So yeah, I suspect it'll be 4-3-3, but out of possession probably 4-5-1, and you're expecting Sarr and Dennis to work, which is not ideal, I'd say.
Yeah, coming to Anfield, not ideal. So the back four is Keith's favourite, one of FPO legends, Cathcart, going to actually play?
I'm not too sure, Samir will definitely be one of the centre halves. Kiko Famia, who's really good going forward, but not great defensively. Got a great relationship with Sarr, and they tore up the championship. Well, they didn't tear up the championship, but they combined really well last year. And we're not too sure about the other centre back. Cathcart has played a lot, but I think before the international break, Cabaselli played. We've got a guy called Sirialta who was really good. He hasn't had a game, but our defence is just no good. So I think ultimately we can have the best game plan, but the level of your guys' attacking threat versus our defence, I'll be stunned, staggered. You guys don't score on Saturday.
Yeah, look, from what we remember of the first game, there was a fella called Danny Rose still trying to play in the Premier League, and
sending me to retirement.
No, Charlie, I said it. No, lads, I said it at the time.
What happened?
No, Keith. Do you remember the show I done afterwards? I said it. It was one of the most strangest sights to see a footballer that is as wide as me, right, on the pitch. Because honestly, I thought, what is this guy doing on a football pitch? And not only on the football pitch, but is being asked to compete against the best player in the world, who showed why everyone thought he's the best player in the world. And it was the most horrid. I don't even know how long he lasted on the game. I think, Charlie, I don't know if he got subbed or whatever, but I can't remember now. But it was one of the most horrid experiences I can imagine for him. So he's totally out the picture now, right? So it's you've got the Firmina. Did you say he's going to play left back? Because he's got handy left foot. He takes your set pieces. Quite a few of your set pieces.
He will play right back, and then Kamara, who's one of our winter transfers, he'll play left back.
Yes, he's looked good. And obviously in goal, will you have
YouTube sensation?
The sensation, the YouTube, he's only bigger sensation than me, the only one who's bigger than me. Mr. Foster himself. So is he
we'll have Mr. Ben Foster. Last week he got done for speeding, so when we asked for more points, we didn't mean that, but
oh God.
He'll be in goal. And to be fair, again, he does make mistakes, but our goalkeeping situation is not good. We've got Nigeria's number 1 coming in June. Again, like
that's such a Watford purchase.
It's true.
He's coming from Sparta, Rotterdam, so
love that.
It's just madness. It's madness, but it's always entertaining. But yeah, I'm not looking forward to 12:30 on Saturday.
Keith, listening to that, we've got quite a few selection dilemmas, I guess, or have we? So how if you're Jurgen Klopp, how are you approaching this? Because look, we've seen the madness of our fixture list, right? So we've got like Benfica in midweek Champions League, then Man City, and we've got United, Everton on the horizon. We've got so many games coming up every week, like 3 times a week. And you often think, and we've had in the past where we've had a game and we think, do you remember we had Norwich a couple of weeks ago at home and we said, yeah, this is the last opportunity we're going to get to rest a few.
Yeah.
I think Saturday. Now, call me mad. Come for me in the chat if you want to, or used to can come for me in the chat if you want to, Errol and Keith. Call me mad. I think this is literally our last opportunity to not play a weak team. Of course, there is no such thing as a weak team, first and foremost, right? It shouldn't be Liverpool. But this is the last time before the end of the season that we may get a chance to just make 2 or 3 changes for the sake of just letting the players come back from international duty, be fresh, and then you play every single game possible. That's just my thought.
Yeah.
Or are you saying, fuck this for a laugh, shut your mouth, Grizz, this is the business end of the season, every game is the best 11 from now on, because one slip, it's done.
Do you know what? It's all about managing people's injuries, right? So let's look at that side of things. You've got Trent Alexander-Arnold. You say, well, he's back to full training. You throw him straight in a game where Trent Alexander-Arnold's qualities may not necessarily be needed to get us to win. Obviously, if he's playing, he'll give it. But if Gomez played in that position, we'd find a way to score, and definitely won't really let much go in the other way. I think other than Trent, I don't think anybody else is getting rested at all. I think he's going full strength. I think Salah starts, Mane starts, the likes of Henderson, Fabinho, they've all just come back from Brazil and everywhere, but they're going straight into the first 11. Alisson, Van Dijk, Robertson. The only one that I would think that idea would work for would be Trent. Is it worth risking him after he's just come back from injury, or do we put him on the bench, let him come on for 20, 30 minutes, and then have the run of the green for the City game? But yeah, it's the options that we have available are incredible. Like, it's ridiculous. Charlie, as well. It's just madness, right? Like we're saying, okay, look, we'll, if we keep Thiago on the bench, right, then we'll play Keita, Fabinho, Henderson. We want to rest Henderson, then we'll slip in, like Harvey Elliott, we'll play him there, Oxlade. Like, there's just so many options for Klopp to go with at the moment. Like, when the 5 substitution thing happens, by the way, Klopp will be changing his middle 3 on 60 to 70 minutes, like most games. Like, he just has the squad at his disposal. So it could be anybody, but I think it's going to be the strongest 11 possible.
Joe, I like that. I like that energy. I feel like the only way Klopp changes it now is if you go out of form. This is where he is going to implement, for me, the best team will go out and start the game. I hear what you're saying about Trent as well, and I think that's probably the right thing. I think it's a little bit too soon to just throw Trent straight back in. But I think in terms of what his ideal would be is the strongest 11 is going to start each week in training now, or each other opportunity off game that we've got. You've got to bring something to the table that the person ahead of you on the weekend or midweek didn't bring in order to get into the squad now, because there will still be the opportunities for you, and obviously people will come in off the bench and stuff like that, and we'll have to manage minutes. But I think he will want that shape and that core squad to look the same week in, week out now in this business end, and there won't be much rotation unless it is game management, managing minutes in people's legs, and unless someone can force his hand enough to say, I deserve a start. And where I see that happening is the front 3. I feel like the midfield's pretty settled and stable now. We've kind of finally starting to see the fact that the fitness of Henderson, Thiago and Fabinho, keeping them fit at the same time, it's going to be really important. If we could only have kept them fit for the whole of the season, where would we be? Can't think like that anymore. That line's been drawn. We've got 9 games this month. You guys have just got to stay fit. Defensively, once Trent comes back, the back line picks itself. I think it's the question to him, and the kind of carrot and the stick approach is, okay, so you want to start on Champions League game, or you want to start on the weekend? Let's see what you go and do. Let's see what you go and do on the pitch, or let me see what you're going to go and do in training. And that's the question for the likes of Jota, Firmino, and Diaz. They're the lads that are going to be the first three asking that question majorly. Boss, what time am I coming on? Boss, what game am I starting? And then after that, it's the likes of, well, it's not even the likes of Origi or Taki, really, because I don't really see them getting a look in now unless something drastic happens between now and the end of the season. But the three that I just mentioned, they're enough of a handful themselves, really, where you'd think you'd be wanting to pick any one of those three to potentially not start. But if you leave one of them out, there's going to be another Salah, Mane, someone else is going to fit in that slot there up front as well. So there are options, but I think it's the forward line where there's probably going to be the most rotation over the next couple of weeks for us.
Yeah, I just like kind of echoing this what Rodney says about, I feel Klopp likes to start most that way in training and not with international teams, so I can see a few changes, not the ultimate first 11. And I think we may see that for the last time. I know you two obviously have given your opinions, what you think, but I genuinely think that it won't be the team that plays Man City, for example, in my opinion. I think this is the last game we get because there's no more international breaks after this. There's no distractions now. It's like literally the 52 days of just pure every 3 days, a monumental game. And I think, with all due respect to Watford at home, this is the last game where we can, for example, don't need to rush Trent. I genuinely don't. And especially when he's probably going to be up against one of the better players, attacking players, sort of that he could come up against in Emmanuel Dennis. Gomez will be perfectly fine to match his pace, trickery, because Dennis is like very much like, I look at Dennis like he was our Sadio Mane, Charlie. Very unpredictable, doesn't know if he's going to go left, right, doesn't know himself if he's going to go left or right. You can tell it's very spontaneous what he does. It's not pre-planned, nothing. And Dennis gives me those vibes, what Sadio Mane used to, when he first came to Liverpool from Southampton. So I think Trent's not bad defensively, despite what non-Liverpool fans will tell you, that people that don't really watch the game. But Gomez is very quick, very strong, 1-to-1. So I think that could probably help us or suit us. It should be enough for Watford. But Charlie, before I get a prediction from you, what we usually try to ask, and it's always good to ask a non-Liverpool fan, first, what do you think about the title race and everything? How do you think it's panning out? And B, if you could pick 3 Liverpool players for your team, which 3 would you go for?
I'll go for the players first. Van Dijk's got to be number one. What he's done for you guys since he's come in is, I feel like that signing has literally elevated you to obviously all the success. I think he was the key one, best defender in the world for me. You can't not say Salah, can you? Probably.
Well, maybe you could. We've got a few options now, so I don't know. Maybe you could. Some people don't seem to rate him. Some people seem to call him a system player or a poacher or all sorts of fucking names that I've been hearing last few weeks, which is mental, but each to their own.
I've seen him in the flesh. I've seen his destroyer. Some of his goals. His goal at Stamford Bridge. He scored a goal against West Ham away. That counter attack when he killed it dead. He's sensational. And I think the last player, just because I think he's the most aesthetically pleasing player, Thiago. What a player he is. He is source personified. That goal he scored against Porto, it took me about 10 times to realise it didn't actually hit the floor and it kind of swazzed up. Unbelievable. But like I said, I think Trent's unbelievable. He's in my England team. I'm a big England fan.
Well, that's what I mean. You've gone up to 4 now. You're cheating. I've only given you 3 players to choose. You can't have all our team, man. Come on, you're gonna go up that table if you start having more players from us.
Oh, bad Nick and Trent, but prediction. I think it'll be a nice, comfortable 3-0 win for you guys. Unfortunately, I think problem is when you're playing against teams like Liverpool or City, and you feel like you've got danger kind of on the counter attack, you just need to make those moments count. You don't have possession a lot, and when you're coming up against Van Dijk, you need to make those moments count. You're going to have about 4 opportunities in the game to do something, and I'm not talking about good goal scoring opportunities. I'm talking in the final third where it's potential, and I can't see it. But one question I wanted to ask you guys: what team have come to Anfield this season and maybe not Man City. What teams come to Anfield this season and have set up really well against you guys? Maybe not got the result, but you guys are really impressed and think that's a great blueprint for other teams to come up against.
Very simple. Very simple for me. I'll go quickly and then these two can give their opinion. For me, Charlie, very, very simple. Brighton. They gave us an absolute horrid second half. The way they set up, sort of they played without a striker. Graham Potter, I don't know why he didn't play like that against us when we went to their place. We had Maz, shout out to Maz from Lad Bible, who's our Brighton fan that we get on. And we were shocked the way Graham Potter lined up against us at their ground. But when it comes to Anfield, they were the team that set up in such a way that they confused our centre-backs. They didn't play without, like you're looking to play 3 forwards tomorrow. They played with no forwards. They played with sort of roaming attacking mids and kind of confused our centre-backs. So, and then the way they played that second half, don't get me wrong, it could have been all over in 45 minutes. Like we were 2-0 up, could have been 4 or 5. But the way they came back from that, I thought they were the most impressive for me.
What was the final score on that one?
2-2.
2, yeah.
Yeah. For you guys?
Again, really well coached team, aren't they? Sorry.
Do you know what, right? That question just rang bells and I thought to myself, maybe not this season, but last season when we were losing game, I think we lost like 6 in a row. And I think we got beat at home by Everton. We got beat at home by Burnley. We got beat by home by Fulham. And you know what all those victories had, like, it was kind of the same outcome. It was the timing between the striker's run on our last line and the quality of the ball to get there. If that gets done right, there's always a chance, because the gap between our goalkeeper, our defenders will forever be massive. And that is one of the tactics I see played time and time again against Liverpool, that when it goes right and something happens early, all of a sudden it becomes a different game. And you know what? Shout out to quite a lot of teams that have caught us out in that. So you guys caught us out. Similar kind of tactics when you beat us 3-0, right? Similar kind of thing. The runs were perfect. That ball to get it over the line, beat out offside trap. If a team could beat the offside trap with the long ball, then there's a chance. But if you don't get it within the first 5 minutes, yeah. It's cruise control. It's cruise control. we are. You know what? Honestly, like, I just have to say, this team right now, the control we have in games, I don't feel like the opposition feel like they can score.
We suffocate. Yeah.
2019, 2020 when you won the league.
Feeling similar. Yeah. This run at the moment,
Charlie, we may not win the league. Let me put it out there. We may not win the league. Right, it's Man City are fucking humongous as well. They're playing, they're a magnificent team. But right now, I feel this team and certainly squad is better than that team. We've got more options. We're more flexible. More desire. Yeah. It's amazing time. And look, as football fans, what do we aspire to be? We aspire to be in April fighting for every competition. That's every fan's dream. Like, hope April we're not just fucking turning up at games and thinking, oh, what's the point? What is this game? Dead rubber. So, that's the phrase used, right? We've got anything but dead rubber, Zero. Because we've got game after game after game now. Because we've won the League Cup, which we don't notoriously give a shit about, but we gave a shit because we had Chelsea in the final, right? So we love fucking beating them, right? And everyone knows how much I love Chelsea. But now again, every competition, every game is do or die, isn't it, everyone? Now this is it. This is crunch time. Now there's no holding back any ounce of energy or anything or focus right now.
No, absolutely not. And as you said, it is the dream. In my lifetime now, 30 years of age, this is the first time that I've ever been sat coming into April and you're looking fighting on all fronts still. Like, that's let's say that's 30 years. So, and that's a Liverpool fan, and you would say Liverpool are a club with heritage, with history, massive institution. If that shows how few times that can happen in an individual's life over the course of a fandom, it doesn't happen that often. So these are the moments over the next couple of weeks that we're all going to cherish as fans. And I think, that's a beautiful thing, really, that we should all be able to sit and enjoy. But I think, or I know for a fact, I will only enjoy it after the fact. In the moment, each game, sitting there, I will be scrutinizing it. I'll be sweating it. I'll be trying not to watch, but still fixated on the TV. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'll be kicking off. Like, there'll be so many different emotions in every single game. And I think we're getting to that point now where every game's going to feel like that Champions League semi-final, where they are just that massive. The adrenaline that you're going to carry into each game is going to be monumental. But to answer your question, Charlie, for me, the teams that I had seen this season, I'd say two. And the reason I say two is because there was both different parts of the season for me, really. It was the Brentford game early doors, where it was the 3-3. I thought that was pretty shocking from our perspective, in terms of the way that we didn't have a lot of control in midfield. I didn't feel in that game, from what I can remember. I feel like that was the one area that kept letting us down. And I always say, if we control midfield battles, we win the game. We will find a way, because our fullbacks will provide options. They will give opportunities. And then the other game, even though it didn't go the way that the team would have wanted, I thought the approach was really positive, was Norwich, when we played them not so long ago. I think it might have been the turn of the year. We played Norwich. I think they did go 1-0 up, to be fair, as well. It was a really ballsy performance by them. They caught us off guard, but that was a nice show for us in terms of our mentality, that we kicked ourselves, and I think we ended up scoring 4 or 5 goals straight. Not 4 or 5, 2 or 3 goals within the space of 4 or 5 minutes after they had went 1-0 up. But yeah, I like their approach to that game as well. They just thought, we know we're not as good as you, but we're still going to give it a good go. And I thought they was bang up for it. So if you could take a leaf out of their book that day and try and get the first goal, I think they just timed their first goal poorly. I think if they would have left it and sweated for the last, got to 70 minutes and then scored, and then, right, we're going to sit back and be really as tight in it as we can now and not give them any chances, you might have got away with a draw. But I think because they scored just before the half, it was like, right, we need to fucking sharpen up now, boys. Like, let's wise up here. We've got plenty to play for, plenty of time to get the job done. And I think they just had too much time left on the clock to really see out the game.
Charlie, how do you think then, saying that, like, how do you think Roy is going to sort of set up tactically? Because I absolutely agree with Keith that the only weakness with us is if you have someone with vision and control in midfield to find and time that pass, to find pacey forwards like you most certainly have. I just don't know if those midfielders that you read out, have you got someone who can pick out a pass? And if not, are you going to revert to a different type of attack against us? Or, I mean, I don't know. I haven't watched Watford enough this season. I'm hold my hands up to see. Obviously, I went to the Watford game, but I don't know how you guys are going to. How do you think he's going to approach this game then?
Yeah, I would definitely like to look at that Aston Villa game when they were very dominant and we defended really, really well.
Everton, the other game you went and smashed. That was what's coming to my head. Yes.
Yeah, we smashed up. Yeah, they just fell apart. That was mad.
Yeah, that was mad.
Yeah, I think the Aston Villa is the blueprint. Like I said, out of possession, 4-5-1. When we get it, the one play you said about who can pick a pass, Imran Loser, he was excellent that day. Get on the ball, drives it forward. He's got that long pass who can maybe exploit the space in behind Robertson, or I'm not sure, Gomez. I don't know how high up he'll be. He'll probably be more deep. But yeah, I think that's what we're going to try and do. That's what we should try and do. But it's interesting you said Brentford game, because Brentford are very direct. So, you were saying about Liverpool's midfield, if they have a chance to control the game, they'll win the game, especially with the fullbacks who are going to have the opportunities. That's why Brentford had so much success, because they're very direct, whether that's route one, getting up their long throws, they're bypassing the midfield, so they won't allow you that control. That's an interesting concept. Can we, don't know, have we got the ability to get it?
It's got to stick. When it gets up there, it's got to stick. And that's what they did really well that day.
Against Van Dijk, That's hard. So yeah, it's going to be Ismail Assar and Dennis are going to have exceptional games. But like I said,
I think the way you've described them on the wings in terms of in a 4-3-3, asking them after they've been away on international duty, and we're going to get onto the Mane and Salah's international duty experiences, asking them to be tracking back with Robertson and the wingers we're going to have. I don't know. I don't know if jet lag. If they haven't got jet lag, they're definitely going to have it after the fucking game. I know that for a fact. But how do you see the title race, Charlie? Very quickly, like from your point of view as a neutral, how do you see this battle? And do you really appreciate, as not involved, do you really appreciate the levels that Man City and Liverpool have taken the Premier League? Like I believe we have, or maybe you don't think that we have taken it to another level, because the points tallies that's needed to win Premier Leagues is fucking mid-90s minimum now. It's mad.
the title race is juicy. I didn't think it was going to be this juicy.
14 points behind. Yeah, 14 points behind.
Bit of context. I live in Manchester. My girlfriend is a massive City fan. So, but then again, I'm originally from London, and I've got a big hatred to Manchester United, because everyone supported Manchester United growing up, even though they're from London. It was like,
if every word was said.
I've celebrated more Man United losses this year than
so beating them that must have been like, were you there at that game when you beat them?
I wasn't there. I was up here. All my mates are Man United fans, but I was like, I can't watch the game with them. It'll just be unbearable. So I just waited at home, and then the WhatsApp afterwards, it's just a barrage. A day. Yes, it was so good. And then they can't say shit to me. Like, we beat them last 2 times, so but they're
mad.
That is absolutely mad. Yeah, the title races, that game. I'm in a stag do in Hamburg, and I'm missing the game because our flights are at the same time. But that City game is going to be unbelievable. I've watched City at the Manchester Derby and against PSG this year, and they are amazing. So I think the only thing that could give you guys a bit more of an advantage is the pressure. Their fans are going to, because they're at home, I think the fact that you guys will have a bit less pressure in their fans' expectations. If you can stay in the game longer, I think their fans are going to worry. But it's a great title race. It reminds me of that 1921 every game when Origi scored against Newcastle, Company banged in against Leicester, even Brighton. Who scored? Glenn Murray scored against City, didn't he, on the last day?
I remember that. I lost it.
It just makes, like, in the early noughties, the Premier League, it's a distant memory because it just was nowhere near this good. United would lose 5 games this season or something like that, 5, 6, and no, it's a joy to watch. And what Klopp and Pep have done for the English football and Premier League is outstanding. I work for a company called The Coach's Voice. I don't know if you guys heard of them. Actually, if there's Liverpool fans watching, there's going to be some interesting content coming up because we're at the Liverpool training ground today. So keep your eyes peeled on that.
Amazing. Go and check that out, people. Make sure.
But I can't. Yeah, I'll have to. I can't say I want Liverpool to win, otherwise my missus will kill me. But I hope it goes down to the wire. And
we get it. The political answer. We get it. We like it. That's a good one.
I can feel her ear burning.
Exactly. Just to end up, we've got a couple of super chats that I wanted to go through, and it's shout out to MBA who wanted to know, Assalamu alaikum, thoughts on Ramadan effect on sports, especially LFC's Muslim players. No food, water. Fast begins from dawn to dusk. Fast lasts 16 hours at this time of year. And then I think he replied to someone who said, do they have to fast or whatever? Players must fast unless with medical exceptions that would seriously harm to health. Players must fast except with medical exceptions that would seriously harm their health. Players fast with ease even when playing for Fana, for Leicester City. As a Muslim, I see it as a blessing, Ramadan. First and foremost, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the support of the channel. And obviously, anyone who's practicing Ramadan out there, happy Ramadan. I myself will be practicing Ramadan as well. And in terms of the players involved, these are extreme elite sportsmen that have not only looked after themselves all their lives, but are now backed with elite sports scientists and medical teams behind them. So I personally have absolutely no issue or no concern about their well-being and health. In fact, many a medical professional will tell you that fasting enhances your health and your endurance and your output. So I take it as a blessing as well, bro. But thank you, appreciate the super chat. Apparently Colo Torre, someone else was telling me, and someone told me in the chat as well, done a brilliant documentary on it. So if people can check that out, that's very enlightening. Colo Torre apparently has done a documentary. I'll try to find out and I might tweet it out. So check on my socials what the documentary is, where it is, because I haven't watched it myself, but enlightening. And just on that, in terms of Salah and Mane, very briefly, because I've just remembered the Young Bucks have got a show starting in about 3 minutes, but because we've gone a bit over time, but it is what it is. Keith, Salah, Mane, Egypt, Senegal, bit of a madness. Senegal comes out on top again. You know, we just want the best for both of them. How feelings on that situation?
Yeah, at the end of the day, look, Mane got his moment, and I couldn't be happier for him at the end of the day. It's as simple as that. Like we couldn't lose in such a situation. I think Salah, you know, I think the incidents that took place around it was a bit much, and I'm seeing that trend a little bit too much. This people running onto the pitches, mobile phones, like sort of quite a few times in the Liverpool Arsenal game. It's probably happened about 3 times. Like it. People coming onto the pitch, people doing that kind of stuff. It shouldn't be a trend that should carry on, especially as it's always for that kind of camera phone. And just happy everybody's cool, calm, collected, and back at Anfield.
Yeah, Errol. You know, Mo Salah, you know, basically plays in a crap team, and that's what. Here's what it is. We're absolutely over the moon for Sadio. But Mo comes back to Anfield and has an amazing few months that could possibly be the greatest few months ever as a Liverpool player. So lots to still look forward to, right?
Yeah, and have you seen it? He comes back to a nice memorial there as well on one of the rows.
Oh,
He's got a memorial
absolutely.
back up. So, you know, there's silver linings everywhere in this day and age in the football sphere. So, yeah, I'm glad again Mane can kind of just keep riding that crest at the moment and that wave of momentum in his own personal life and things like that. I think it's coming a good time for him. I think he, out of any one of our forward lines, needed it. Salah's an ultra professional. He will come back. He will be focused. He knows where the prizes are between now and the end of the season. So I don't doubt that he will give it his all. You know, he'll do what he ever has to do to drag us. What he can't do with Egypt is drag them over the line. He knows the effect that he has on this Liverpool team. And if he wants it, he will drag us to each cup that we're still in, if that's what Mo wants. So I'm glad that they're all back, healthy, fit, and you've got the opportunity now to go and hand it to Watford on the weekend. Sorry, Charlie.
Yeah.
Not
now
so.
the game's listen, the game's the game. We know. We know what we got to do. Watford, as I said, always will have a soft spot in my heart because of the John Barnes factor, but no mercy on Saturday. Charlie, first and foremost, thank you very much for popping on, man, and obviously give your shout out to your what you was referring to and where people can find you on your socials.
Yeah, I'm on Twitter at Cesar. But yeah, like I said, we're at the Liverpool training ground today. So we're quite excited about the content that we filmed. That's for the Coach's Voice, at Coach's Voice on Twitter, the Coach's Voice YouTube. You'll be able to find it. So hopefully that's going to drop in a couple of weeks. So keep your eyes peeled. But thanks for having me on. I don't wish you any luck for Saturday, but for the rest of the season, hopefully you can pick up a trophy or two.
Absolutely. I think you're hosting a Spaces on Saturday morning, on the morning of the game, which I promised you I'm going to wake up for. I'm flying back tonight. Yeah, starting tonight. So I should be back and I should be not jet lagged as much as Dennis and Sal. So we'll make that. Look, Mustafa, I know you're one of the best mods I've ever had in my life. And I know you want to ask Keith the wrestling question, but this ain't the Red Fellas. This is Carnage. I'm not spoiling Carnage with shit talk about WWE and F or whatever you call it. So Mustafa, you know I love you, but can you save those wrestling questions for Sunday where Keith will very happily answer everything you want to know about fucking Lesnan, Roman, and all this shit. I don't know what you guys talk about, man. Grow up, both of you and all of you. Grow up. No, don't even say nothing, Keith, because we've got to wrap it up. People, this has been Carnage, as always. It was supposed to go on for about 45 minutes to an hour, but you know they don't run, man. When we get football people talking football, and Charlie's been a great guest who's given us a lot of insight into all things Watford. Of course, my man Errol has lit up the show again once again. He's lit up the show, and Big K, of course, Big K. Listen, guys, we're going to be back for the post match, and then we've got Red Fellas on Sunday. So much to look forward to, so much to be excited about. One deep breath, guys. This is it. We had a little holiday. Well, I had a little holiday. I didn't mention where I am once. I didn't mention where I am. I could be in Weston-super-Mare for all you guys know. This could be a green screen.
That's what the lad from 90 Min said this morning.
Yeah, because for all we know, Grizz could be in fucking Weston-super-Mare with a green screen behind him. I was like, you fucking cheeky wankers.
Yo, that needs stitches, bro.
Do you know what I mean? But I actually called them back. They called me, and I was like, why are they calling me like? So they must be missing me, but I called them back. So do you know what I mean? It is what it is. But listen, this has been Carnage. I'm going to try hit this intro and make sure everything runs smoothly because, these guys are useless. No one helps me anymore. They think I'm the big bollocks. I'm not really. But listen, we catch you soon. Over and out. This has been Carnage. Thank you for your support.